students, hope you all are fine and reading well at home. Welcome to the 10th standard social science class. Today we are going to read about the lesson power sharing. But before starting the class, I want you to get ready with a pen and a book to note down the important points while we are going through this lesson. So, are you ready, children? So to begin with, as we resume the tour of democracy that we started last year. We noted that last year that in a democracy all power does not rest with any one organ of the government. An intelligent sharing of power among legislature, executive and judiciary is very important to the design of a democracy. So we are going to start with how power is shared in India, then we shall go to Belgium, then Sri Lanka, last but not the least, Syria. The stories actually yield some conclusions about the need for power sharing in democracy. This allows us to discuss various forms of power sharing that we will see later. So let us start, children. So what is power sharing? So power sharing is a technique. It is a technique to share the power at different levels. It is an idea inculcated in democracy so that the power is not concentrated at one hand only and that different forms can keep a check on each other. I repeat, it is a technique to share the power at different levels. It is an idea inculcated in democracy so that the power is not concentrated in one hand only and the different forms can keep a check on each other. India is an example of holding together federations where the power is shared between central government and different constituent states. Remember, India's power sharing system is a holding together federation where the power is shared between central government and different constituent states. So there are two reasons of power sharing. So we can say, why is power sharing desirable? There are two reasons basically, prudential reasons and moral reasons. So what are prudential reasons? It reduces the possibility of conflicts. I mean to say that if power is shared, conflicts will reduce. Second point, it actually prohibits stability. It provides stability to the government. It gives stability to the government. These are the prudential reasons. Now, moral reasons. Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy because we cast our vote and we elect our leaders and they form a government and then the power is shared. So, power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. People have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. Generally, people are governed when some new policies are framed. So, forms of power sharing. We will see the different forms of power sharing. So, let us see amongst different organs of government like legislature, executive and judiciary. It results in balance of power. Each organ checks the other. The first point, it results in balance of power. Second point, each organ checks the other. Then what is next we will see over here? Let us see. Let us have a close look into this again, children. So the next one is like this. Horizontal distribution, as it allows different organs to exercise different powers. Yes, you are right. All ministers or government officials are responsible to parliament, state assemblies. Third one, no organ gets limited powers. No organ gets unlimited powers. Unlimited powers. A system of checks and balances. A system of checks and balances. Judges can also check the work of other organs. So these are, what are these? These are some of the forms of power sharing. These are some forms of power sharing. Power sharing in India. How is power shared in India? We are going to see in the coming slides. Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy, as we have seen in the previous slide. A democratic rule involves sharing of power with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with its effects. All communities and social groups, they get their say in the governance. This is the main highlight or objectives of power sharing. Power sharing in India, how it is done. People of India elect their representatives through direct franchisee, like universal franchisee. Every adult above the age of 18 has got the right to vote. That's how we cast our vote. After that, people's representatives elect the government to make or amend rules and regulations and to carry out day-to-day functioning of governance. Like we are cast our vote, the government is formed by ministers, MPs and MLAs. Okay, the chief minister is elected, the prime minister is the center. So they actually frame the rules and regulations for the governance of the people. In a democracy, through institutions of self-governance, people rule themselves. In a good democratic government like India, everyone has a voice in shaping of public policies. In a democracy, political power should be distributed among as many citizens as possible. Power sharing helps in reducing the conflict, as we have seen, between various social groups. Hence, power sharing is necessary for maintaining social harmony and peace. Power sharing helps in avoiding tyranny of majority. The tyranny of majority not only destroys the minority social group, but also the majority social group. People's voice forms the basis of a democratic government. Again, I repeat, people's voice forms the basis of a democratic government. I mean to say that when people are not happy with the governance, they may speak out and try to bring some reforms. They will request the government to bring the reforms. If the reforms are not brought, then the government is pulled down in the next elections. Hence, power sharing is essential to respect the spirit of democracy. Avoiding conflict in the society and preventing majority tyranny, as I said, are considered as prudential reasons for power sharing. I repeat, avoiding conflict in the society and preventing majority tyranny are considered as prudential reasons for power sharing. Maintaining the spirit of democracy is considered as moral reason. So these are the prudential and the moral reasons for power sharing. Horizontal distribution of power. As we have seen in the beginning that India actually uses this horizontal distribution of power. So what is it? In horizontal distribution of power, power is shared among different organs of government such as legislature, executive and judiciary. This is called horizontal distribution of power. So you can see the same form of government in India. That means legislature, executive and judiciary. So this is called horizontal distribution of power. It allows different organs of government. Yes, you can write down. It allows different forms of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers. So you have to remember here that power sharing is shared among different organs of government like legislature, executive and judiciary. Then it is called as the horizontal distribution of power. It allows different organs of government placed at same level to exercise different powers. This ensures that no organ exercises unlimited power. That means no but legislature or executive or judiciary, they don't have unlimited powers. The powers are actually limited. The powers are limited. Each organ is checked by the other. What is the result? Which results in a balance of power among various institutions. This arrangement is also called as system of checks and balances. Very important from examination point of view, children. They may ask, why is horizontal distribution of power called as checks and balances? The reason is, each organ is checked by other, which results in balance of power among various institutions. So this is about horizontal distribution of power. Still going on. The executive enjoys official power but is answerable to the legislature. The executive enjoys official power but is answerable to the legislature. For example, the President of India actually has powers, but he is answerable to the Prime Minister of a country and the legislature. Clear? The legislature has the right to make or amend laws, but it is answerable to the people. The MPs, MLAs, the Prime Minister can change some laws, but they are answerable to the public. They must give the answers probably to the public why such law was made or was it changed. The judiciary is independent. See, remember this point? The judiciary is independent and ensures that the law of the land is obeyed by legislature and executive. It is the duty of judiciary to see that the law of land is obeyed by legislature and executive. So that is the prime duty of judiciary. Remember these points, children. Horizontal distribution of power. So you can see clearly in the picture how the legislative, executive and judiciary work in a country, in different countries. We have seen the USA, the White House, the Supreme Court of a country. Okay, you can see here the legislative is divided into, in the USA, the legislative is divided into Congress, that is House of Representatives and Senate. Okay, in the White House, they divided the executive, the president and the vice president. In India, the Supreme Court, we have judicial, where Supreme Court is the prime judicial head. Horizontal distribution of power. In India, it is legislature, executive and judiciary. Vertical distribution of power. Let us see what is vertical distribution of power. So, here the power is divided among three. The union and central government is there, then state government, then now in Andhra Pradesh we can see that power is vested with municipality and panchayat also. So this is vertical distribution of power. So let us move on to the story of what happened in a country called Belgium. Okay, here this is a beautiful story where you can understand the concept of power sharing in a better manner. Okay, now let us see what is in store for us. So Belgium is a small country. Okay, Belgium is a small country in Europe. The small country in Europe. Belgium is a small country in Europe. Okay, you can see here, Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in area than the state of Haryana. It has borders with France, the Netherlands, Germany, you can see here, Netherlands, Dutchland is here, France, you can see clearly, see here. You can see three red bold names of country, Netherlands, France and Dutchland means Germany. It has a population little over 1 crore, about half of the population of Haryana. I mean to say, the population of Belgium is just half of the population of what is there in Haryana of India. The ethnic composition of this small country is very complex. Okay, it is very complex. Belgium is a federal monarchy in Western Europe. It is a founding member of the European Union and hosts the European Union's headquarters as well as those of several other major international organizations such as NATO. Belgium covers an area of 30,528 square kilometers and it has population of about 11 million. Ethnic composition, we will see the ethnic composition now. 59% lives in Flemish region and speaks Dutch language. Another 40% of people live in the Wallonia region and speak French. Remaining 1% of the Belgians speak German. The capital of Belgium is Brussels, where 80% people speak French while 20% are Dutch speaking. This is the arrangement. Across the country, remember this, we are talking about two concepts here. Across the country and in the capital called as Brussels. Across the country in Belgium, 59% are Dutch speakers, 40% are French speakers, 1% are German speakers. So it comes to 100%. But when it comes to Brussels, it is just a reverse. See, only 20% are Dutch speakers, but 80% are French speakers. I mean to say in Brussels, the majority are French speakers, the minority are Dutch. But you see the nation as a whole, the majority are Dutch speakers. Clear? The majority are, so it is reverse. Let us see the next slide. Accommodation in Belgium. What happened in Belgium we'll see. Okay, how they accommodated. But still, the minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. Remember, as we have seen over here, the minority, see the previous slide, the minority French speaking community was relatively rich and what? Powerful. This was resented by Dutch speaking community who got the benefit of economic development and education much later. This led to tensions between the Dutch speaking and French speaking communities during 1950s and 1960s. So there was a fight among the Dutch and the Germans. The tension between the communities was more acute in Brussels. Brussels presented a special problem. The Dutch speaking people constitute a majority in the country but a minority in the capital. Clear? If you can see, we'll compare Dutch now, only Dutch. Be attentive, children. In Belgium, there were 59% Dutch speakers, but when it comes to Brussels, it was 20% only. That's what you are talking about, okay? Let us compare this to the situation in another country later. Now we will see how they manage. Accommodation in Belgium. Constitution of Belgium states that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in central government. Remember first accommodation, how they did? Constitution of Belgium states that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in central government. The second one says, many powers of central government have been given to the state government. Many powers of the central government have been given to the state government. Brussels have a separate government in which each party have the equal representation. There is a third kind of government also called as community government, which is elected by people belonging to one language community. This is how power sharing was accommodated in Belgium. So let us move on to Sri Lanka. Let us see what happened in Sri Lanka and how they were able to manage power sharing in Sri Lanka. So let us compare this in the situation. So Sri Lanka is an island nation just a few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. It has about 2 crore population, again about the same as in Haryana. Like other nations in South Asian region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. It has a diverse population. Let us see. Okay, it has ancient migrations, whereas they are so-called Indian Tamils also are there. Okay, Christians, Tamils and Buddhists are also there. So let us see. Sri Lanka, officially a Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, is an island country in the northern Indian Ocean, southern coast of Indian subcontinent in South Asia, known until 1972 as Ceylon. So Sri Lanka was called Ceylon till 1972. Sri Lanka has maritime borders with India to the northwest and Maldives to the southwest. So we are going to see the ethnic communities of Sri Lanka, how they are actually arranged. So Sri Lanka has a diverse population. Okay, the major social groups are Sinhala speakers. So 74% of the people you can see here. Okay, Sinhala, 74% are Sinhala speakers. And the Tamil speakers are, let us see where are Tamil speakers? Yes, 18% only. They are only 18%. Again, among Tamils, there are 2 subgroups. Tamil natives of the country. Okay, Tamil natives of the country who are called Sri Lankan Tamils. They are only 13%. They are only the rest whose forefathers came from India as plantation workers during colonial period are called Indian Tamils. You can see Indian Tamils, Hindus and Muslims. Yes, Indian Tamils. Yes. Next. There are about 7% of Christians who are both Tamils and Sinhala. You can see 7% somewhere here. Yeah, green color. Both Sinhalese and Tamils are Christians, 7%. Just imagine what would happen in a situation like this. Let us see what happened in Sri Lanka, because we have seen what happened in Belgium in the previous slides. Let us see how it happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. Remember this from examination point of view, very important children. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. Government took many steps to establish majoritarianism. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as only official language of Sri Lanka. So remember, an act was passed in 1956. Wanted to recognize Sinhala as the only official language of Sri Lanka. First point. Next, the preference was given to Sinhala applicants for university positions and government. The first one was, an act was passed in 1956 to recognize Sinhala as only official language of Sri Lanka. The second one, preference was given to Sinhala applicants for university positions of government. Third one, moreover, government of Sri Lanka was insensitive to Tamil languages and culture. So, from examination point of view, these 3 points are very, very important. These are absolutely important. So, let us see what is majoritarianism. It is a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants, by disregarding the wishes and needs of the minority. It clearly shows that majority can do whatever it wants and there's no need of paying any attention to the minority. That's what majoritarianism means. So let us move on to Syrian civil war. The independent flag of Syria, used before the Ba'athist group in 1963, has been widely used by protesters as an opposition flag and has been adopted officially by Syrian National Coalition and the Free Syrian Army. When and why this war was developed, we are going to see over here. The Syrian civil war is an ongoing armed conflict in Syria between forces loyal to the Syrian Ba'ath party government and those seeking to oust it. The conflict began on 15th March 2011 with popular demonstrations that grew nationwide by April 2011. These demonstrations were part of the wider Middle Eastern protest movement known as the Arab Spring. Protesters demanded the resignation of President Bashar al-Assad, whose family has held the presidency in Syria since 1971, as well as at the end of the Ba'ath party rule. So that's how it happened over there in Syria. Syrian opposition. The Syrian opposition is an umbrella term for groups and individuals calling for regime change in Syria and who oppose its Ba'athist government. National Coalition for Syrian Revolutionary and Opposition Forces. Syrian National Council was formed. Local coordination committees of Syria, Free Syrian Army and Higher Military Council, Kurdish Supreme Court. Some countries which supported are here like Pakistan, Iraq, Qatar, United States of America, Israel, United Kingdom, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, to name a few. Bashar al-Assad. Okay, he was born on 11 September 1965. He is the president of Syria and regional secretary of Syrian-led branch of Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party. Syrian government, we have the armies like this, the Syrian Armed Forces, Jaish al-Shabi, Shabiha, National Defense Force, Al-Abbas Brigade, Lijan Militia, Iran Revolutionary Guards. The foreign militants are Hezbollah, PELP GC, Houthis and others. Consequences. In July 2013, the death toll was updated to 92,000 to 1 lakh by the United Nations. According to various opposition activist groups, between 72,960 and 96,430 people have been killed, of which about half were civilians, but also including 58,500 armed combatants consisting of both the Syrian army and rebel forces, up to 1,000 opposition protesters and 1,000 government officials. How is the situation nowadays? It is horrible. Even today, they are not actually free from whatever is going on across. With this, children, we come to the end of this lesson, power sharing. Hope you are reading well at home. Don't forget to complete your homeworks in time. Thank you, children.